Usually, when your 50-year-old diesel locomotives start falling apart and constantly break down, you'd look to replace them with something a bit more modern and up-to-date. Except here in Hungary, where the replacement for the tired 50-year-old locomotives, strangely, is to bring in 40-year-old trains from Denmark. Come on board as I show you what it's like to travel in a 1970s train carriage built in East Germany behind these massive new diesel locomotives, as we travel along the northern shores of Lake Balaton on the way to the Hungarian capital Budapest. Our journey begins from Tapolca railway station, situated just a few kilometers away from the shores of Lake Balaton. Despite the town being home to just about 15,000 people, it actually has a really nice station building. And while I purchased my ticket online for today's trip, it's still possible to go to an old school ticket office here. I, however, focused my attention on the model railway display here, which has lots of mostly Hungarian trains on display. But while the actual station building itself is in great condition, the same cannot really be said for the actual rail infrastructure. Parked in the sidings is the Hungarian-built Class 418 locomotive from the 1970s. This locomotive used to be the backbone of the diesel-hauled passenger train fleet. However, these trains have now really started to show their age, with reliability issues and lack of spare parts becoming a big problem. But with the railway being financially constrained, combined with the long lead times for brand new trains, MAV has had to get creative. And their solution is arriving in just a couple of minutes. But first, I wanted to show you this legendary Hungarian train, the best mod, found all over the Czech, Slovak and Hungarian railways. What a cute little train. And if you're wondering what this thing is, it is the remains of a former Class M61 locomotive, which was involved in an accident here. It might also look familiar to many Nordic railway fans, as the iconic front shape gives away that this is indeed one of the locomotives built by the Swedish factory NOHAB. But enough about other trains, because the star of today's video is now arriving. As Tapolca is the terminus station for trains from Budapest, our locomotive will now need to be run around to face the right direction to head back to Budapest. Runaround procedures like this are still very common across much of the Hungarian railway network. So the railway staff here is quite used to it and is able to spin around the train in about 5 minutes. This is the former Danish State Railway Class ME locomotive, built around 1980s by Henschel in Germany. They served the Danish railway network till the end of 2021, where they were withdrawn due to a combination of their age, lack of spare parts and lack of ERTMS. They were then sold to Nordic Refinance, a leasing company, which are currently leasing them to MAV Rail Tours, the Hungarian Railways Heritage Fleet division, which allegedly is just MAV's way of getting around the EU regulation requiring a tender for purchasing new trains, but hey, in this case the trains are actually 40 years old. And while the trains were capable of 175 km per hour in Denmark, it seems like the Hungarians has downgraded this to 120. Right, I think it's about time to head on board the train. Our service is fully unreserved, meaning you can pick any available seat. I took a seat in this very strange half-compartment-ish carriage. And right on time, our train departs, bound for Budapest. And as you might have expected, these carriages do not have Wi-Fi, so this is where today's video sponsor comes in to help. Airalo is an eSIM provider giving you access to affordable mobile data in over 200 countries and territories using their easy-to-use app. I recently had a layover in China, and without my Airalo eSIM, I wouldn't have been able to stay connected with friends and family back home or post to social media. But thanks to Airalo's China eSIM, I was able to send updates back home, bypass Chinese internet restrictions, and navigate China using local apps right from the moment I touched down. Before I travel, I simply open the Airalo app, choose the region or country-specific eSIM that fits my trip, and install it in just a few taps, ready to activate the moment I arrive. Gone are the days of expensive roaming fees, switching to a SIM card every time you cross a border. To stay connected and use your phone just like at home on your next trip, download the Airalo app now using the link in the video description or by scanning the QR code on screen. And don't forget you can use code SIMONA3 to get free $US off your first order. Airalo has made my traveling and filming these videos so much easier. Trust me, you'll want to install the app before your next trip abroad too. We'll take a proper look at the seats and carriages, including the special bike one, a bit later in the video. But for now, we're speeding towards the lakeshore, and what a stunning day for it. Okay, speeding might not be the right word for it, but we can get up to about 80 km per hour. And with the lake now appearing in the distance, I think it's about time we take a look at the route map for today's journey. We are on board Sibiswunat 9793. Our train leaves from Tapolca, stopping at almost all stations along the route as far as Balatonfüred. From here, the railway line is electrified, and we will swap out the ME locomotive for an electric one. The train then continues as a limited stop service all the way to Budapest-Deli station. This is scheduled to take 3 hours 20 minutes to cover the 184 kilometers, giving the train an average speed of 55 kilometers per hour. The frequent stops along the route allow for easy and convenient access to the many beach and swimming locations along the route, which are very popular in summer. And this is actually a big part of why MAV have acquired these locomotives. To meet demand for transport to the lake in the summer, both longer, heavier as well as additional trains are required, further putting pressure on the aging fleet of Hungarian diesel locomotives, so MAV have leased a total of 15 of these locomotives, and as of publishing this video, 2 of them have entered service on select trains on the North Balaton line. Speaking of the North Balaton line, it is mostly single-tracked, so we are currently awaiting a planned meet with one of the Hungarian locomotives operating an outbound service from Budapest. And with our train getting the green light to continue, listen to these engines roar. The sound of these trains will always be so iconic to me, because, well, they used to be common around where I grew up, so they just have a special place in my train enthusiast heart. But one thing that is not very iconic is still using these 70s East German Halberstadt carriages for anything more than short regional train journeys. I'd call the seats basic at best, and this is even the former first class portion of the train. Unfortunately, most of the seats padding has been lost to time, but it was nice to see the armrest being padded. For seat features, well, you get a bin, not even a tray table, but you get this storage pocket. Below the seat there's space for luggage, and if you have even bigger luggage, you can also put it on the rack above. I can't exactly say that these carriages are an impressive offer on these 3-hour trips. And the layout of the carriages is very strange. The weird compartments here are the former first class section of the carriage, with the ends being second class in a more conventional layout. These carriages come in many different versions, including this one where the door was making a loud hissing noise for some reason. Most North Balaton trains also carry a carriage with loads of space for bikes, and unlike every other carriage in the train, this one had been refurbished to at least remotely look like it belongs in 2025. Don't get me wrong, as a rail enthusiast, I love hanging out the window, and I enjoy the quirkiness of an old train like this from time to time. But objectively, these carriages in their current state is beyond their expiration date to the average passenger, especially on a 3-hour trip. And before I go back to my seat, let me show you the toilet. I actually have to say, given the age of the carriage and otherwise the general state of it, this was surprisingly clean and functional. The water was working, there was plenty of soap as well as towels, so I can just give this a thumbs up. Back in my seat, the time behind the ME locomotive is almost coming to an end, as our train is now approaching Balatonfüred, which is the start of the electrified railway network. So I got off the train to get one last glimpse of these ME locomotives. And the next locomotive for our journey is already waiting ahead. And with the ME locomotive having cleared the switch, we are now ready to attach the electric locomotive. This is a Class 433 built by Ganz here in Hungary. The first examples of these locomotives were built all the way back in the 1960s. They currently face many similar issues with reliability and spare parts as the Hungarian diesel locomotives mentioned earlier in the video. But at least MAV this time has found a slightly newer second-hand locomotive to help solve that problem. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to not miss that future video. Back on board, it's time for us to now enjoy a beautiful sunset along Lake Balaton, as we now run express towards Budapest. And as we are rapidly making our way to Budapest, it's time to sum up my thoughts. As much as I've enjoyed this trip as a Danish rail enthusiast, I'm not complaining about getting to see and hear one of Denmark's most iconic trains continue to be a workhorse abroad. Hopefully these trains can help improve the operation along MAV's unelectrified railway lines, but honestly, the current state of them is such a big mess. And with the Danube appearing in the darkness, we are almost in Budapest. We first call at Eventful station, an important shoulder station offering good transfer connections to the Budapest metro as well as many other railway services. And as we now head to our final stop at Deli, it's time to talk about tickets. I booked mine in the MAV app on the day of travel, which set me back about 2,000 forint, which is about €5. This includes a 50% youth discount. And as we pass over the final switches on our way into the terminus station at Deli, what do you think about these ME locomotives? Have you ridden them in Denmark, and do you think they'll be a good addition to the Hungarian railway network? Let me know in the comments down below. We arrive into Budapest-Deli bang on time at 20:54. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as I try to post a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Blue Sky at intercitysimon.com. I usually post live from my travels in real time over there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming on the channel in the future. Thanks for watching.
11 óra 10 perckor az 5. lábányról, Ér alsó csak Budapest